welcome to New York Textile Month event. We are so happy that we can connect globally this year. And New York Textile Month, this is the 6th year we do New York Textile Month, and most of the events this year are happening in New York, but we wanted to continue what we did last year in the middle of the pandemic. It is to offer a little bit of global events or international conversations. And so we reached out to our friend Byborre in Amsterdam, who is doing really amazing things in new ways of working with textiles and innovation in a very sustainable way. And it's about collaboration, and it's about working together, which we are also very fond of. So we are very happy to connect with him and his colleague, Cyril, and they will tell us a little bit more about themselves. But before I give the Kindle over to Borre, I just want to mention to you that we still have a lot of events coming up for New York Textile Month. The highlight will be an event in a week, a webinar on textiles, a full-day webinar, which I encourage you to sign up for. All our events are on New York Textile or textilemonth.nyc. And we also are very happy to introduce World Hope Forum Turkey, which is on the Saturday 25th. That's a free event and speaks about textiles and creative and hopeful messages in terms of textiles. And that's really what our favorite topic. So I'm going to give the word to Borre, and hopefully Cyril is going to show up. And we have now 33 people in the room, and there's more going to join us. And this will be recorded and will be on YouTube after. And we also have events, some of our remote events loaded up on YouTube. So enjoy this presentation. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Welcome. We're so happy to have you.
Well, no, thank you. Thank you for having me. And of course, when you shoot a message to me, I'm more than happy to join, to really engage with New York Textile Month, where, first of all, I think it's amazing that there is a textile month and that we have dedicated time, because, well, there's nothing in life what we use more than textile on and around the body. Born, wrapped in textile, and every day of our lives, we will continue to use textile. So that I find by itself already intriguing, and seeing how it is influencing us. Well, so I invited Cyril. Cyril will jump on the call in a minute. But what I wanted to do, first of all, is show a little video to get you in the mood. So let me see if we can share the screen and start with this.
This is Bodo, creative director of Byborre. You know, these textile innovators from Amsterdam. He's thinking about his new initiative, Byborre Inside. This is the child inside Bodo, and this is his imaginary friend, Rex. Today, they like to show us what's crucial in life for all creative folks. It's three things: play, play, and play. Well, a new playground for textile innovation is open, a playground that invites creators to run wild. Look at the child inside Bodo. That kid just loves textile. And Cheerios from Rex. He's given us a bit of freestyle. Thanks, guys. This is Bodo.
Yes. Well, thank you very much. I'm at the same time seeing a message from Cyril that he cannot find the link. So I hope, Ragnar, that you can quickly send it to him so he can jump in. Well, still, we're in a world where We have to deal with logins, unmute buttons, and video calls, even that the world is opening up. And I think that's a very good thing. But also the pandemic learned us a lot. It learned us a lot by, well, we cannot take everything for granted. We cannot take time for granted. We cannot take resources for granted. We cannot just keep on doing what we were doing. And I think that is also something that I live by, Cyril lives by, and what Byborre lives by. So what I wanted to do today is give you a brief introduction on Byborre, what we do with WoTO, the Window of Textile Opportunity. As a company, we create textiles. And I see here Cyril jumping in, and then I will first say hi, of course, because that's the nice thing to do. I think he is at the moment in Paris. He came over from New York to Paris in his busy schedule. Luckily, he can join us as a partner. Yes. Hello, my friend.
Hey, sorry for that.
No. It's always something. All good. There's always something, but you have a beautiful, beautiful wallpaper behind you, and it's probably like if you're in Paris, it's probably textile too.
It is textile. I couldn't find anything else. Everything else was dark red and in the dark. And the bathroom I could have done, but that's the only spot really that has an empty wall, and it's not empty as you see. But hey, at least I'm recognizing textile.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. Now, Cyril, thanks for joining.
Sorry for being late, Byborre, everybody.
It happens, and I think it doesn't matter. In the end, it matters that we're here and sharing our thoughts. I know, first of all, like, it's very nice that you spend some time, get some time out of your busy schedule. I already did a small introduction. I showed a small video on that we're opening a textile playground with Byborre Create, where we want to focus on play. And we made that little video because always when people ask us, oh, what do you do? I start preaching why I do things. Well, what is all wrong? How we need to change it? What people are like not thinking about, how we need to make the whole industry transparent. And one of my very good friends that is a director, he was sitting with me because we were talking about an explanation video, and he was like this, Byborre, that's way too much. Like, this is, we cannot explain it. He said, what is the essence that you want to give? What is the nicest gift that you want to give to people that you believe are making the change? And it's like, well, the people that I believe that will make the change are creators. I believe that creators are the gatekeepers of doing better. They're the spokespeople and the decision makers for making new products. And actually, I want to give them the ability to play again with responsible materials, to not think about all the headache, not think about all the problems and be afraid of making wrong choices. I want to create a room where they can play and know that they do the right thing. So that was why we made a little video to start there with it. But the question is, of course, like, first, Cyril, maybe you can do a small introduction on who you are and what you're doing. Probably most of the people watching will know you, but I think it's very inspiring.
Thank you, Byborre, and thanks for having me today. And hello, everybody. So yeah, my name is Cyril. I'm the founder and CEO of Parley for the Oceans, and I was a designer strategist before, working for the industry, right? Working also for all kind of typical like clients. And in 2012, I learned that the oceans would die. Pretty much our lifetime, in our lifetime, we would experience that. And our legacy might be that we're leaving behind a dead sea, probably a dead planet even. That would, I mean, from the natural side, you know, like all the life that provides the atmosphere, the chemistry that allows us humans to be here. And I couldn't accept that. I called my partner in New York, and we were like deciding to turn around and close our design firm and become an environmental group. One that is like not a protest organization. It's more about like still optimism. Like, we invented these problems, let's invent our way out of them, right? I mean, if we can create an issue, then we can also create a solution, or a better solution, because most of the problems that are problems today were solutions at some point in time. They're just outdated. And I think what is interesting, and that I think unites us, you and me, is the background of being designers, right? And but not wanting to design only formally, and not just wanting to promote something what we can't really represent. And I was always selling in the best way my ideas when I believed in them, when I saw something in them. And when you, as a designer, really want to be standing up for what you create, and you need to know how it's made. You need to know what purpose it has, what function it serves. And also, as a designer, you are not really the one that's just driving things alone. You need to be a collaborator. You know, you need to kind of start to speak the language of all these other experts that you need to bring your things to life. And the environmental movement, and we at Parley, by driving the material revolution, by trying to drive out toxic materials like plastic or fossil fuel or all kind of nasty chemicals, we are actually creating stress. We are asking for more. The job gets more complex. We are stressing out governments. We are stressing out our partners like Adidas. We are really annoying. And because we ask them to do things differently without often being able to tell them how. And I think that the designer can take the role of like curating this process and inspiring the clients, the consumer, everybody to drive change. And at Parley, we first of all believe that plastic, and it's one of our main causes, is a design failure. It is a toxic material. We need to stop making more of it. The first step is to switch to recyclables, to recycled materials. And we came up with that idea of ocean plastic, taking that stuff back from nature, upcycling it, and suddenly making recycled material really sexy. And that's the first big step. The second big step is to phase these materials out. But it's not a process that is like just happening overnight. And I think I think that's again something that connects us, is the idea of a transparent communication. That you're actually open about the problems you're facing, that you're transparent about the ways you're operating. And also, to be honest, that you are piloting new ways of doing things. I think that's a rough overview. Parley today is operating in 30 countries. We have big partners, we have small partners, and our heart is still in the creative industry.
Yeah, I think it's very inspiring. Like when before I met you, of course, I already seen the work. I've seen Parley as a storytelling, and what you say, like making it sexy, making it a marketing story around brands to say like, well, we're trying to do something better. And I think what really inspired me, because to also start working with you, is of course the mission. But I noticed after a decade of developing, designing, consulting, making textiles for others, making our own brand, we bit by bit said, we first have to understand the whole process. So we went into the process, starting controlling machines, working together with R&D machine manufacturers, working together with all the yarn suppliers, seeing where all the fibers come from. And what you also say, like, how can we get fibers that are renewable, that can grow again, that are local for local, that are very much usable. But to get to that point, we still have a big time span to develop them and to scale them up. And I was very intrigued how you said, like, well, toxic materials like recycled plastic is not the solution, but it will at least start to clean up, to think about better things, and to give us time to also choose the right solutions to make sure that we can scale them and produce them and present them to the world. And I think what links us together now, and that is what we're going to talk about in a second, is that we are opening up our ecosystem to everybody. So as designers, like not keeping it for ourselves, you see that a lot of brands, they claim and protect better solutions for the world, where they're then saying like, look, we have the best solutions and only we, so you have to buy us, where that is of course very contradicting to together solving the problem, not open source. So what I wanted to do is show a little video of our studio so people have an idea of how we work, and also afterwards dive into the window of textile opportunity that we are starting now together as partners with a lot of other partners, why it's important to open things up and have a more open source mentality.
Can I add something, Byborre, before you do that?
Of course.
Because you touched on 2 points that are important to me. I think what you are helping us and helping your partners is to reclaim knowledge around the supply chain. Because the truth is that most of the companies I know, they don't know their supply chain anymore. It became something very abstract. It's a game of certificates. It's a game of prices. It's a game of testing, but it's an abstract process. While we're coming from a moment where people knew how their product was made. Now we're suddenly, everything is somewhere else. So the brands that we work with, they had to learn again what their supply chain is, dive in, understand that real people are claiming materials, making things, create a new level of empathy. I think the abstract has brought us to a place where we lost our emotions, our instincts. We don't anymore know what a product is made of. And that's dangerous, because how can you guarantee and vouch with your valuable brand for a product if you have no clue how it's made? And yes, you can say, oh my God, I have all the things done right. There are all these processes in place for my industry. But if you really go there and check it out, then you actually know what they mean. That means dive in, learn. And I think today as a designer, if you don't know the supply chain, if you don't know how things are being made, you can't anymore responsibly create a product.
Oh, 100%. I will touch upon that after the video, telling a little story. But first, yes, I see this popping up.
Hi, welcome by Byborre. I'm Borre. Please come in. So this is where we work on the future of textile creation. There's nothing that we use more on and around the body than textile. So you can imagine this industry is huge, and unfortunately it's one of the most polluting industries in the world. Oh, can we do this later? Thanks. When designing a textile, 80% of the entire footprint is set in stone. So every decision we make really matters. Yet, as creators, we're not able to make those decisions in the current industry. Well, at Byborre, we're committed to change this. Our mission is to enable and inspire an entire generation of creators to make less but more meaningful and responsible products. From our early days, we've always pushed to make the most responsible, fit-to-purpose textiles for our products. Well, with Byborre Create, we open up our ecosystem for expert suppliers.
Oh, perfect. We have a little delay so that we can all grab a bit of water.
I'm Borre.
Maybe.
Please come in. So, fit-to-purpose textiles for our products. Well, with Byborre Create, we open up our ecosystem for expert suppliers and knowledge partners, enabling you as a creator to find freedom in creating textile and making conscious decisions while doing so. Byborre Create is our solution to give back control to the creator, so we can play, 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 and play. It's a digital platform that makes it super easy to design and produce responsible knitted textile for everybody that designs with it. By combining suitable knit types and functional yarns, we've created a series of responsible textiles for all your different use cases. After selecting, you can start creating your own color and play with your custom artwork, so you can integrate your brand's DNA in your textile. Looks good. I think we should run with this. Please have a seat. The nice thing about Byborre Create is that the editor is what you see is what you get. So you see right away what your textile is going to look like. And then when you're ready with your designs, we knit your sample in no time in our knit lab and send them your way within 2 weeks. Once you're happy, we take care of your production using a worldwide transparent ecosystem of suppliers and factories. And good to know, there's no real limit to the size of your order. We can deal with it. But as much as we value creative freedom and speed of production, we deeply admire the craft and innovation brought by our partners that enable us to make these textiles. That's why we value an open source mentality and open up our entire ecosystem. Together we're committed to transparency, to change the textile industry for the better. So as creators, we're the gatekeepers of doing better. Thank you for your visit, and let's play together. Perfect. Let's go for this one. Yeah.
Thank you. Perfect. Yeah, it was a bit shaky, but I think what I really wanted to show was, well, there is this whole ecosystem. And as I also explained in the video, I believe that creators are those gatekeepers of doing better, and that the partners and the people we work with, machine suppliers, yarn suppliers, the raw material suppliers, and the people that produce everything that are in the factories, that they are the ones that have the knowledge. They're the ones that we need to see. So we need to be fully transparent to be able to also talk about that. As Cyril, as you also said, you still have your video off, by the way. So I think in that sense, it is super important so that we start being transparent. And a couple of weeks ago, I had Sami here. Sami is from India. He is actually in a shelter program, a city shelter program in the Netherlands, because he cannot be in India at the moment. And he has a company that is fighting for women's rights in the textile factories. And we're talking about millions of women working 5 or 6 days a week, 12 hours a day, with 2 pee breaks of 7 minutes. And they also have to eat within that time. And they only get paid 5 euros per day. We're talking about 120 euros per month. This is modern slavery. But he also explains, and as you also said, Cyril, when companies work with these factories, all certifications are in place, all questions are asked. If they sit with the women, it's like, do you get your fee? Yes. Do you have a break? Yes. Do you?
They don't want to lose their job. I mean, it's very simple. If they would give another answer, they would mostly lose their jobs. And if you go in there with a normal audit, then the companies are very prepared. That means that even if you're sending an auditing firm, which big brands would do, they're getting exactly what they want to see. The only way to really find out what's going on is to send investigation teams.
You have to be there. Well, and that was the thing, what he is doing. He saved thousands and thousands of women. And he also explained exactly that. It's like they're getting trafficked from the north because they don't have any money to work there for 3 years so that they get their honeymoon treasure. So to pay for the honeymoon, because the family of the women have to do that. And he also says like, well, and it was a very amazing person. We had an amazing talk, and I also said like, well, but Sami, what can I do? Because I don't work with factories from India. We don't pass our tests. we don't work with yarn supplies from there. We challenge all the people that we work with, and he's like, it is not that I'm asking you to no, well, we can help him, of course, but he said, like, the thing is, these stories need to be shared, and the whole supply chain needs to be really, really transparent, that people really can visit the factories, that also these stories are told, and the factories are on the stage with the brands. And I think that is what we now are trying to set up with WoTO, the Window of Textile Opportunity, and I think that is also what I would like to talk about with you today is what do you think that transparency will mean for this industry?
I mean, first of all, I think when you're making a product, you're pretty much engaging a network of people. And in a spiritual way, all these people contribute something to that final item. And they're, honestly, it's also a bit of the energy. You don't want to have a product on your feet or wearing it where you actually can assume or know that somebody else was suffering to make it. And there's not really a need for that, because we are spending already a lot of money for items, right? So why would we not guarantee, or why would the brands not be able to guarantee that you're actually, by buying this product, supporting this network of people that is part of making it? And what we see out there, when we build our own supply chain, that's also why we took a lot of time. It was about working with communities, right? Go out there and help them to solve a problem. The motivation was not to make a product. The motivation was like, there are beaches out there in the remote islands, for example, the Maldives or the Seychelles or Dominican Republic or so. The beaches are destroyed, right? They're dirty, they are polluted. Fish are dying, and which is often the pretty much the foundation of their living there. So we were trying to find a model where their work and our work can be funded without only going for donations. And what we said is we declared that material that people would collect in these areas, we would declare it luxury. And we priced it up, and we called it ocean plastic. And we said, once you're buying a product that is made from ocean plastic, you're supporting this action of removing trash, often like very hazardous or toxic or destructive trash from the environment. But you're also supporting local communities. And I think that there's a beauty in that, because the moment you know who is down there in this lowest level of the supply chain, the moment you're shining light on that, you find a lot of opportunity also. Like, working with communities is such an incentive, to be honest, right? Getting them educated, learning from them, because also learning of how they relate to the oceans, how they relate to nature in general, and turning them into ambassadors, not trash pickers, but them becoming ocean warriors. And we created a super transparent supply chain where now we pretty much know every piece of plastic is being picked up by somebody. It is somewhere in our ecosystem registered. We know the name. We know, are they legal? Are they like, do they have insurance? We offer them growth opportunities. They should learn English. They shouldn't stay there. They should become educators. They should become team leaders. They should grow up, and they should also bring Parley and the cause into their local communities, bring it to life. At some point, they could even run Parley in a country, or they become designers or artists or something. I think a problem can trigger the creation of an ecosystem. And the moment you have that, you can speak about it. You can inspire and empower others to follow. And you can actually tell your consumers how beautiful it is, how you are actually making your product. And that will create loyalty, because people will suddenly relate again. Because we're coming from a time now where nobody was anymore relating to big brands and their products in a true way, because it was like a black box. You had no clue. You just see advertising.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are fooled by the advertising, and the things that they follow is they follow communities, and communities are very strong. And I think that's what you are also building, is a community that is also stands for something, that together does something. And what I find very interesting is also democratizing a sort of the creation of the material. Everybody can be part of it. And also when you're part of it, it doesn't all have to be in getting the material. It can also be part of using the material, but you're part of the supply chain. And having access to that, and that was something that we, when we spoke about it earlier, when we said, well, it is nice that there are good solutions on the market, but how can you get to it? It took me 13 years to be a good enough textile developer with an own brand and everything, that I suddenly had access to the machines, that I had access to the top materials that were the most recycled. But why are we letting people that just start, that have the best ideas, that really want to make a difference, why don't we let them have a democratized playing field where they also can access the right yarns the right way, and that they can by themselves let a sort of great ideas surface to the top, and not let only the big brands be the sort of the holders and the ones that can control this whole industry.
I think it's beautiful, because empowering the creator is just improving everything. And I feel that people today can quickly also, I would say, rise up the career ladder, you know, because you with the way you present yourself as a designer today, you're today nobody and tomorrow you're somebody. You just need to access to the tools. But yeah, it's not only meant for the pure design process, it's also for prototyping, because we are in a moment where we need to actually find alternative materials. You know, I mean, we are still addicted and depending on materials like polyester, like plastic in general. And this will stay for a while the case. But in parallel, we need to push the development of alternative materials. And we can only test them if there's access to machinery. And also, every new material comes with new attributes. And we're coming from a time where everybody tried to copy what was there, right? You see polyester and then you're trying to copy that. You're trying to copy it identical. I think that's wrong, right? We should just accept the new material as a new material and find new applications, probably even new aesthetics, new colors, new designs, new haptic. You know, there should be an understanding that every new technology comes with its own language and its own opportunities, and it's finding its own place. And without access to machinery, without access to tools, there's no way to play through that.
Yeah, I find it was, of course, when we started working together, we also started like we just built a small capsule collection to show the Parley yarns, and yeah, we remembered that. Well, also within the process, it was actually the research of the yarns and developing the yarns that we even opened up the network of people in WoTO, where we said like, okay, but how can we elevate the concept? How can we elevate and work together with the yarn spinners that have been doing that forever? Because of course we were setting up the whole supply chain by yourself, and now we're combining those partnerships to really see like, hey, how can we scale it and how can we make that run smooth?
I think what brought it to the point, Byborre, honestly, is that you told me you want the material like undyed and you want it as is. And that's a very different approach, because normally, I mean, we are collecting plastic in areas where it's really broken down, really, really bad, right? It's like, it's not the same material that you collect curbside in Paris or New York, right? Of course not, because it was out there. Probably it's coming back from the ocean, or it's coming down a river, or it was used to store something else in it. The plastic is dirty. Also, the UV light had a certain impact on it from the sun. So the material is not clean. It's not perfect. It creates the brightness, and the coloring is different. And a normal brand would then say, and we hear that all the time, yes, we want Paleocean plastic. It should be out as authentic as possible. But it can't be different from virgin plastic, really, or from other recycled material. And that's not working, really, because of course it's different. But there is a story in there. If you extract that story and you speak about it and you say, yes, there's a little brown in there. You know why? There's a little shine. And we're not even talking strong colors. It's a tint. Like it's It's a little stain. It's a little,
the true color, the true color of the material. I think that is very strong. I love that actually also when we were discussing that the moment that you grab, because like I think the true color was something that we started asking to some of our suppliers, like when we did zippers and we said like, oh, can it just be the true color? And it's like, well, we always galvanize it and then we electroplate it and then we galvanize it and we electroplate it so that all the different metals are the same color. And I was like, no, can you just leave it the colors as is? Because those steps are the most polluting steps. And actually I liked the 4 different colors of materials to show what it is. And I think that was the same conversation we had on the materials. And I think it is also very interesting for designers to, if you can control your process, so you can start with the yarns, you can control the colors, and suddenly you gamify doing better. Like, oh, this is the coloring process. What do you want to do? Do you want to choose a color in the stock colors so that we don't dye per Pantone, because then we have leftovers and you overproduce, but okay, we have an X amount of stock colors. Then create colors by optically mixing, or do you want to use the true color of the material that defines like an aesthetic too? And that can
special
be
look. It's a very specific look.
With a recycled polyester, but also with well, cotton used to be several colors. It depended on where it came from. It was like a light pink, there was a light blue, a light brown. There were different types of colors that were not stable, but we modified it and to change it to the purest form of white so that we could dye it. Where that is actually very strange that we started doing.
Boring as hell. I mean, to be honest, we learned that the only way for success for global growth is total standardization. That avoids that we are depending on individual making decisions. You know, it's just a white is normed. All the colors are normed. Everything is normed. I mean, the coffee is normed. You know, you can't even in Paris. I don't find anything here what I don't find in New York, really, right? So that's boring. It's just nothing else than boring. So if I have suddenly a material that tells a specific story, and it has also a specific story, it comes from a place that it's interesting. There's something else. And as a designer, I have to say, I always loved restrictions. I loved when things got weird or specific or different. I loved it because normal is something everybody can do. Standardized is something that's for the dumb, to be very honest. It's the dummification of supply chains, right? And therefore, it doesn't take a lot of effort.
I had to just jump in there. I think it's because it's interesting. It is for everybody that wants to not want to be responsible for any mistake. So in big brands that sell to a reseller, that the moment it doesn't sell well, they're searching for reasons why it didn't sell. And if it diverses a little bit, they're like, oh yeah, that's the reason that it didn't sell.
And often they don't wait. I mean, everything what is strange and different, you see that in design all the time. You just wait a moment. You have the breath to kind of establish it in the market, and suddenly you have something unique. But if you want to be unique, it takes a moment. I want to answer a question here from Marcus Dancy. He's saying the problem is business. And it's not really one by one, but he says this is the challenge with making profit as a business, as a company, because in the end, somebody gets hurt. The fact you acknowledge means understand that fact. The truth is, I don't think we need to hurt people. I think that's an old idea of exploitation. I think we are in a business, the moment the designer is involved, the moment a renowned brand is involved, we can actually avoid that. Because it's just about putting numbers into an Excel sheet or into a numbers sheet where you say, this is the price of something. Oh, it doesn't cost me 20 cents for the shoe to use when I'm using virgin plastic. I, instead of that, pay 50 cents and use Parley ocean plastic. Oh, I pay the worker instead of $2, $20 a day. Oh, suddenly the shoe or the product is 5 cents more expensive. At the end, it's not making that big of a difference. I mean, also, you can only do that sometimes when you go deep into the supply chain. You just identify other things that don't belong there. And
well, and it is transparency, because the moment that we are transparent, for instance, all the ladies working in India, they have to sign in with fingerprints that can be logged on the blockchain. The only thing is, it is smoke and mirrors, because nobody wants to have that on their product. But the thing is, what we are trying to also do with, for instance, WoTO, and opening up the whole supply chain, saying, well, here's everybody that we work with. Look at them, talk to them. The thing is, we can look at each other and say, well, this can be done better. Hey, we're doing that with this factory. Oh, maybe that is better. So transparency, if we honestly have raw materials, energy, transparent until the moment of wearing, and then the times that we wear something, if we have that whole list transparent, then we also can start legislating, like, are we agreeing? The same as we do with single-use plastic. We don't agree that the energy and the material for single-use plastic is okay, so we start to ban that. In the Netherlands, it's banning, like, I think next year. If that is so with clothing, we can see this is the amount of energy, and actually this many products are made, but only so many come to the people, and only so many are actually worn. So that is not realistic. It's almost a single-use product in the end. Then the legislation on a Primark, on the H&Ms and the Zara could really make steps in to say, like, well, we need to start valuing these products again.
What's the true cost of a product? What's the true footprint? And I have to say also on top of that, yes, countries have different salary levels. Countries have different lifestyle costs. That's something that is there, you know, but I think it's not so difficult to figure all that out. It's just a question of, like, somebody has to have the courage to start and to set standards, and to kind of step out of how things are being done in an industry. And this player has then also to be very successful, because only very successful examples create followers. And I think that's something we were able to establish with Parley Ocean Plastic, right? I mean, we are collecting that material for, it's a massive effort what we're taking. But we found a way that the consumer actually acknowledged that and pays more, right? And that is suddenly an ecosystem that works out. And we also created this, like, the Clean Waves program with the eyewear, you know that, and we can adapt that to fashion easily, where we said, why would we not be 100% transparent and say all the profits go back into a project? But it all comes down to actually knowing your supply chain. If you don't know your supply chain, you cannot identify your footprint. And most of the companies that I work with have very big problems to really get honest answers from their vendors. It's really an investigation job. Yeah,
I see. I just want to see questions popping up. I didn't see before. So there was one question of Marcus that asks if the people within the Parley for the oceans, like that, for instance, what you said, like they can first work, educate, they can grow. Are they also becoming, like, for instance, locally part of the company, really, of owners of the company?
Oh, I don't see that question. Oh, you know what? I'm in a different chat. Here we go.
There's a few ways how to address questions.
Yeah, I was in a different chat. I didn't see it. Sorry. Some are, yeah, some are. We are, in some countries, we are not even companies, to be honest. We have a mix of different organization forms, and we have always local partners. That means there's always a local, we don't believe in the colonialist approach. We believe that you need locals that actually build something out of a local community. And we are giving equity options. That means that from a certain moment on, that we give to everybody. It's the same options that we give to people that work in New York as we do it in whatever, Sri Lanka or Maldives. That means at some point you can say, after normally 3 years, you can actually work yourself into becoming a co-owner. But it's not a collective, and we're not a collaborative. It's not like the typical, it's not a communistic socialistic model. It's still a capitalistic model, because to be very honest, we also need total control. And otherwise, we need to operate fast, right? We need to make brand decisions globally. We need to make quality decisions globally. And we are creators ourselves, we're designers, so we need, we are used to have control. And we don't have investors at this point, out of that reason as well, because we didn't want to have board members telling us to save money here and there or whatever. We didn't want to do that. So yes, it's a beautiful thought. We are implementing that. It's not that every worker has a share. That's not the case. But every worker has a legal status, has educational opportunities, gets more than, gets definitely more money than is paid in the country, and has other roles that they can play. They can go and educate at schools. They can work their way quickly up into other roles.
No, nice. I think that's also, there's never one answer. And I agree that you really have to understand locally what is right and wrong. And because what works somewhere can definitely not work somewhere else. But of course, certain standards, like what I was talking about before in India, if you cannot leave the factory, if you're not allowed, if you have to do double shifts because the person that's working next to you is sick, well, those things are modern slavery. And the worst thing is we're almost all of us still wear things that entail modern slavery. Doesn't matter if you don't know where the cotton comes from, if you buy at even if it's your underwear or your socks, or like it is very likely we all own something. And even that, I almost know from every piece I made, I know where the fiber comes from, and we can control it. But the moment I buy socks or shoes or underwear somewhere else, you just cannot control it. And those are questions that we need to raise.
And also, I think that's a little exercise that I like to play through with people. Imagine everybody would be in the same room, which is today with our internet, digital connectivity, totally possible. Imagine everybody who is involved in your supply chain, in your company, is in the same room. You have the shareholder, you have the athlete that is you have the celebrity that is your face, you have the kid that is somewhere in the end of the world, his mother, you have the person that is putting it together. Imagine they would all meet to a party. How would that feel? Can you look everybody straight in the eye? Would they be all proud to be part of that community? And are you proud of that community that you formed? Because your brand is connecting all that. And as a designer, you're giving reason to connect everybody. So I think and in a world of total connectivity, we have to assume that everybody who theoretically would be in that room can chat, can blog, can speak a language. And then it gets very interesting. If somebody shoots a photo of a luxury item that you buy here at Rue Saint-Honoré in Paris that costs $2,500, and the kid that put it together starts blogging and shows photo of the product and says, hey, I'm proud. I made this product for somebody. And then you have another person that buys that product for $2,500 or more. How does that person then feel? I think we have to, at this point, assume that everything is
not assume
away from public.
It is. The thing is, like, and it was for me very intriguing. Of course, like how Instagram grows, and at one moment I had several people from Portugal, where we produced some of the garments, following me and commenting and liking everything we did. So at one point I was like, oh, thank you very much, and I started talking, and she started. One of them started thanking me. She's like, oh, I'm so glad that you speak back. I just wanted to say and thank you for the people from the team that passed by to educate us how to construct the garments, because we've never constructed this type of material. And we're very proud that we are part of the Byborre team. And that is actually so nice to actually be in touch and also have a connection, and it's there, and everybody almost has ability, even people that are, well, I'm not saying like, well, we're also talking about, of course, like millions that are in modern slavery that don't have access to phones, and it's even way worse. But
that's why I'm saying it, Laura. It's far away, or they wouldn't even. The interesting thing is, for them, it's nothing wrong. If you go to Bangladesh, to kids that live on a dump site, they don't think that their life is wrong. It's normal for them that they have to collect all day stuff so they can eat in the evening a bit of something. You know, it's normal for them. If you would tell them I want to end this, they would probably beat you because they're like, you're taking away my job. It's the thing is, they don't know better, and that's a problem. Mm-hmm. And then you can justify it and say, oh, they don't know better, it's normal. No, it's not. Just because they don't know better, it doesn't mean it couldn't be better. That means you first have to show them, you have to go in and show that it can work differently. And that's a big undertaking, because our whole planet, that goes back to Marcus' comment, is based right now on exploitation. That's the old concept that we learned. We exploit the planet, we exploit our own species, we exploit other species. That's what we do. And if we don't like something anymore, we toss it away. Oh, I don't own it anymore. I don't want it anymore. It's dangerous, it's toxic, it's waste. So that mindset of exploitation worked for a while, but now it doesn't anymore, because we are too many people. We can't anymore. I think we can't, and we shouldn't afford. And it's also nothing to be proud of. But in the past, it was something to be proud of. Leaders of companies, of countries, a leader was a strong man who would divide between personal and business and would take advantage. That was the definition of a strong leader. And I think that's an outdated definition.
Yeah, and I think that's also where we need to really start, like, a sort of think of a new system of sales, a new system of what is value, as in the system that we live now. We have a capitalist system where we define everything in money, and if it covers all the costs before,
but there's nothing wrong about
it is
that,
over.
Laura.
No,
there's
but
nothing wrong with money.
No, but let me finish. There's one thing, like it is that defines one. The only thing is you have the second part is what there's a financial, but also a social and a material aspect to it. And actually, you want to have a transparency on all of those three. And what now is the incentive of the moment of sale? So the companies that sell something and everything needs to be covered, the moment that we do that, we incentivize that they make a big enough margin and as much as possible on that moment. That means that they have to actually make more margin on the people working on it and more margin on the people that are and the materials. Where if we can change that incentive, as we do in a lot of other industries, to paying per time wearing, or at least giving the incentive of you earn money the more it's worn or the more people reuse it, then the incentive is like making a better product that lasts longer and that is reused and reused and reused. And I think there the blockchain and the transparency will help a lot. And I agree that there's nothing against making money. That I totally understand.
It's a currency. The question is just, how do you convert that? How much do you actually give somebody? And what is that person willing to do for what? You know, you have to kind of agree on a currency at some point. And I think the truth is that the moment there is transparency, the moment there is access, the moment every part of a supply chain can be looked at, and there is a comparison not only by price and quality, but also by how things are being made, impact towards humans, impact towards nature. And that's the aspect that is not part right now of a true quality assessment, right? You should pretty much say the quality of a product depends how people are treated and how nature is being treated. What's the true footprint? And what's the impact? And that could define, and on top of that, you'll be able then to tell that to people. The question right now is only, how do you tell it? Because everybody speaks about their product themselves. So it's up to their good or bad marketing agency to tell the story. There is no score, there is no link, there is no authority that would kind of give you true information. And that makes it extremely difficult for people to understand what product to support. And it makes it extremely difficult for a company to justify additional expense. You know, because end of the day, it's measured by success, and success is again profit or loss. You know.
Yeah, and I think that is also a part of why we are now, and I see we're almost at the end of our time, but and I know we can talk for hours.
There's another question,
but yeah, and I will jump that as last one. But I think that is also a part. What you're pointing to is, it is not up to the brands actually, and that's where we say, well, we want a more open source network. We want an ecosystem where all suppliers are there to answer questions. They are there to be spoken to. They are there in the same network as the brands, the same network as the schools, the same network as young designers that normally didn't have access. You don't have to have a top design school to become somebody with a great idea. And I think democratizing the access will also be able to give transparency and passports to products so that people really see that. Maybe the last question, I know, like on our collaboration and how the process is. I think to say for the collaboration, it was very much to also show what is possible with the Parley yarns, and to really show like, hey, how can we make a pure product and really talk about Parley as a pure material. And that was also where we said, like, let's use the true color of the material. Let's tell the story of Parley. Let's make these pieces.
Yeah, and I think that's important to explain quickly, because what is a true color? I mean, we have different plastic types. One is, for example, PET bottles, like the drinking bottles you find, or PET packaging. Yeah, that is often clear or a little brown or green. It comes in different colors, or has a blue tint. And when you are shredding it, and what you normally do is you collect these materials, you pre-sort them, you shred them down, you wash them, and then you melt them in. And in this process, you are eliminating the contamination. That means all the dirt and all these things. But there are other plastic types than food packaging or PET drinking bottles. There are fishing net, for example, that you find a lot. And that's the beauty of these fishing net, for example. When you take them out of the ocean, you save a lot of life, because if they're staying in the water, fish get entangled in it. And often some nets killed hundreds of thousands of sea life. You know, like it's a mass destruction piece. So if you're taking that out, cleaning it and shredding it, it normally has its own color, because fishing net come in a variety of colors. And normally you can just leave it in that color, or you add to it. But there are ways to kind of just work with the original color of a material. That is something very beautiful about that.
Yeah.
All right, I guess we are over time now.
We are over time, and I also want to respect a little bit, of course, everybody's day. Definitely, this also will not be the last time that we speak. I know for sure if you follow Cyril or us, that you will find the more moments that we can talk about it. Also, I really want to thank the New York Textile Month for being the New York Textile Month. I think it is definitely something that normally people won't even think about. They think about clothing, about marketing, but what is the textile? Who's behind the textile? Who are the people behind the textile? I think it's definitely something we can and should talk about more, and also respect more. Cyril, thank you for jumping on.
Thanks, everybody.
Ragnar, thank you very much.
Thank you, Ragnar. Thank you, Laura.
I don't know if you want to...
This was really interesting. Thank you, both of you. What we will do now is that we will prepare the recording of this talk, and we will post it on our YouTube channel. And check our website, textilemonth.nyc. There's still a lot of events coming up. And thank you, everybody, for being with us today. Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Have a great day. Ciao, ciao.
Bye.